Hello, thank you so much for joining us today. We are really excited to share the information that we have with you today. And I just want to start out by introducing myself. My name is Chelsea Winterholler, and I am the Director of Operations at End Exploitation Montana. I am a mom of 3 boys, and due to this, I have a high tolerance for rowdiness. I also have a fierce drive to educate youth on how to empower themselves to do good. I know that each child that we are able to influence will have greater opportunities to go forth and to do amazing things, and therefore influence others around them. I am going to go ahead and have Brittany introduce herself to you now.
Thank you, Chelsea. She is amazing. I just love working with her. So my name is Brittany Homer, and I have always believed that with the right tools and support, there is no limit to a child's potential. And with that in mind, I became a certified family life educator through the National Council on Family Relations. And I use my training to help strengthen individuals and families through a family systems perspective. The goal is to help prevent problems before they start and help families be as successful as they can be. I am executive director of End Exploitation Montana and creator and host of the podcast Raising Today's Kids. I just love helping empower parents. I also have experience as a court appointed special advocate and as a sexual assault advocate and as a leader in several task forces and volunteer organizations. But out of everything I've done, my favorite title is mom. My husband and I, we have been blessed with 4 amazing kids, and they are definitely the driving force behind every good thing that we do. So now Chelsea is going to tell you a little more about End Exploitation Montana and what we do.
End Exploitation Montana's mission is to extend human dignity through ending all forms of sexual exploitation. We honor and uphold the inherent value of all human beings and believe people are meant to be loved, not used or abused. We are a 501c3 nonprofit, officially formed in 2019, but our team of directors has been advocating in this field for a few years beyond that. We are members of the Yellowstone County Area Human Trafficking Task Force, and we have worked with the Office of Public Instruction on implementing human trafficking education legislation. We do want to point out that we love technology. We are so lucky to have the technology that we do in our schools, in our homes. It is an asset to us. But we also feel like as educators and adults in our youth's lives, we need to take this opportunity to empower our youth to make healthy choices when they are using technology. Since 2016, we have been studying and presenting on how the misuse of technology facilitates all forms of sexual exploitation, including sex trafficking, child-on-child harmful sexual behavior, sextortion, and sexual abuse. In 2019, we educated legislators on the need for legislation that recognized this. As a result, Montana House Resolution 5 passed with bipartisan support, expressing the sentiment that pornography is a public health hazard that must be addressed through education, prevention, research, and policy change at the community and societal level. We have taken that resolution seriously and are using our 4 pillars: prevention, recovery, research, and policy change to implement it. Today, we are here to talk about our first pillar, which is prevention. Prevention begins with education. So one of our highest objectives is to educate youth on how to make healthy media choices. Today, we will discuss 2 programs: an elementary program created by a third party who we have become friends and collaborators with, called White Ribbon Week, and a middle school program created by us at End Exploitation Montana called Stand Week. These programs address not only sexual exploitation, the issue that got us started in this field, but also many of the other potential traumas that unhealthy media use can create. For the next few minutes, Brittany will go into more detail about what those issues are, and then I will explain White Ribbon Week, and Brittany will explain Stand Week. As school counselors, we recognize that you are on the front lines to many of these issues, and that you have the opportunity to lead out in the solutions as well. So thank you so much for being here and learning more.
Thank you, Chelsea. So the online world has a lot of similarities to the offline world. There are benefits and risks in both. We can contact a loved one in person or online. We can share good news in person or online. We can do a service project or a fundraiser in person or online. We can go shopping or even go to school in person or online. And the same is true for the risks. 30 years ago, before there was much of an online world, parents were already worried about too much screen time and bullying and predators and pornography and privacy and depression. And today's parents are still worried about all of those things, but there is one striking difference. Everything about the online world is more, exponentially more than the offline world. More people, more content, more accessibility, more availability, and more potential for harm. So instead of just one screen in the family room, there are now often multiple screens in every room in the house. And on those screens, there are not just a few homegrown channels. On YouTube alone, there are already more than 37 million channels of every imaginable and unimaginable genre. So instead of bullying that is confined to the playground, cyberbullying follows vulnerable children home from school to their sporting events, to their grandma's house, and even to their own bedrooms. Instead of cautiously avoiding the house in the neighborhood where the registered sex offender lives and hopefully is recovering, or remembering their parents' counsel about stranger danger, children today regularly befriend predators that are disguised as other children and too often get lured into sharing child sexual abuse images, adding to the countless terabytes of similar data found illicitly online. Instead of a neighborhood kid secretly exposing your child to a Playboy magazine they stole from their older brother, your child can click a button and be exposed to violent, degrading, even live action porn completely anonymously. Instead of just protecting social security numbers and home addresses, parents need to worry about apps that announce a child's location to all his supposed friends anytime and place. Instead of children feeling down or stressed from simple boredom or a math test or being left out of an activity, children are depressed and anxious due to screen addictions, fear of missing out or FOMO, sextortion, and Snapchat-induced body image disorders, while suicide rates are on the rise. For good or for bad, everything about the online world is exponentially more than the offline world. More people, more content, more accessibility, more availability, which means more potential for harm. Recently, I was teaching my 8-year-old son about exponents, and he loves math, but it took a bit for his brain to grasp that that tiny little 3 raised next to the 4 didn't mean 3 fours. It meant quadrupling the 4, giving us 16, and then quadrupling 16, giving us 64. So that cute little unassuming 3 next to the 4 means 64. And if you double that 3, making it a 6, that 64 turns into a whopping 4,096. It's hard to grasp the level of exponential growth that the internet has gone through, but here are a couple of statistics to contemplate. So in 1990, 0.5% of the world's population was online. Fast forward about 40 years, and that number has jumped to 59%, which is about 4.66 billion people. More than 490 million new users have joined social media since January of 2020, just over a year ago. That equates to growth of more than 1.3 million users every day, new users every day. That's more than 15 new users around the world per second. So The Global Web Index reports that the average global user spends 2 hours and 25 minutes on social media each day, which means the world spends roughly 10 billion hours using social media every single day. Time online isn't necessarily bad, though. In fact, we are big believers in positive technology and the power we have to do so much good online. When screen time does become a problem is when it creates an imbalance in kids' lives. Every time kids touch a screen, dopamine is released. And as you know, dopamine is an important chemical that gives pleasure and helps the human brain think and plan, but unfortunately, it can also create cravings. So, dopamine needs to be balanced with oxytocin. When kids spend too much time on screens, they become deprived of oxytocin and can miss out on building and strengthening important relationships. So, too much screen time has been linked to sleep problems, bad habits, aggression, desensitization, nightmares, fear, impulsivity, depression, low attention, anxiety, stress, low self esteem. And one way kids excessively use screens is with online gaming. So, in June of 2018, the World Health Organization declared gaming addiction a mental health disorder. So it's not yet in the DSM, but the American Psychiatric Association does recognize the need for weighing the evidence to determine whether they can make gaming addiction a diagnosable mental illness. Among other things, their proposed symptoms of internet gaming disorder include preoccupation with gaming, withdrawal symptoms when gaming is taken away or not possible, giving up on other activities, loss of interest in previously enjoyed activities due to gaming, deceiving family members or others about the amount of time spent on gaming, and the use of gaming to relieve negative emotions such as guilt or hopelessness. And I'm sure many of you have seen these symptoms in your students. Like screen time, social media isn't good or bad on its own. It's how kids use it that makes it helpful or hurtful. But teens do have a difficult time self-regulating and are easily susceptible to peer pressure. So because of this, social media use has been linked to bullying, clique forming, sexual experimentation, privacy issues, anxiety, and depression. Modern youth are learning to do much of their communication while looking at a screen, not another person. Clinical psychologist Catherine Steiner Adair said, "There's no question kids are missing out on very critical social skills, where body language, facial expression, and even the smallest kinds of vocal reactions are rendered invisible." Social media is often associated with sleep problems. A 2019 study published in Health Communication found that when social media impacts a young person's quantity and quality of sleep, it could have a lot to do with the amount of stress they experience while using social media. So, youth who overly worry about likes, comments, and checking their messages tend to have less sleep and a poorer quality of sleep than those who are more carefree about their social media use. Since sleep has such a huge impact on learning, attention span, and emotions, it is so important to address social media stress. For good or for bad, social media is having an influence on developing brains. And one of the most disturbing ways this is showing up is through self-harm content. So years ago, a woman I know was sitting in an 8th grade history lecture when her teacher mentioned an artist who used blood as paint. She was having mental health struggles of her own and had been engaging in the self-harm of cutting as a means of coping with the emotional pain and frustration she was going through. And when she heard this from her teacher, it gave her the idea to take her cutting to another level. And she began creating disturbing art with her own blood. And if this woman had grown up with Snapchat or Instagram, she would have been exposed to much more than just cutting ideas. She would have seen specific and graphic ideas for attempting and even completing suicide. Social media has been repeatedly blamed for suicide ideation, attempts, completed individual suicides, and even suicide clusters. It's not that social media causes suicide, it's that bad ideas spread. And when those bad ideas are online, they spread exponentially. In February 2021, just last month, The Journal of Adolescent Health published an article about a research study that was done with 7th to 12th grade students in Ohio following a suicide cluster. And the authors concluded exposure to suicide related social media is associated with both suicide ideation and suicide attempts during a suicide cluster. Suicide interventions could benefit from efforts to mitigate potential negative effects of social media and promote prevention messages. In roughly the last 20 years, the total suicide rate in the United States has increased 35%, according to the National Institute of Mental Health. It is the second leading cause of death for 10 to 34-year-olds in the United States. And all this data before 2020 was disturbing enough, but now, due to our global pandemic, when even more of our lives have moved online, we need to have all hands on deck to strengthen and empower the rising generation in the face of all of these risks. So according to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, in the last year during the pandemic, there has been a 97.5% increase in online enticement reports. NCMEC says online enticement involves an individual communicating with someone believed to be a child via the internet with the intent to commit a sexual offense or abduction. This is a broad category of online exploitation and includes sextortion, in which a child is being groomed to take sexually explicit images and or ultimately meet face-to-face with someone for sexual purposes, or to engage in a sexual conversation online, or in some instances to sell and or trade the child's sexual images. This type of victimization takes place across every platform, social media, messaging apps, gaming platforms, etc. So more children being online for more hours of the day means that predators have more access to them. And it's not just intentional online enticement that can lead to sexual trauma in our kids. In Montana's 2017 legislative session, House Bill 247 changed Montana's child abuse definition, legally expanding it to include intentional exposure to pornography. So our law now states that purposely showing a child sexually explicit materials is child sexual abuse. And it passed unanimously because lawmakers now understand that viewing pornography lowers a child's inhibitions, it traumatizes them, and it makes them more vulnerable to further abuse. Dana Toole, the Children's Justice Bureau chief from the Montana Department of Justice, said that pornography is toxic to children's brains. She goes on, children and pornography don't mix. Exposure to pornography and the confusing messages can put a child at higher risk for being exploited, as it erodes appropriate boundaries about safety, health, and touch. We know through the ACEs and other studies that the effects of sexual trauma last long beyond the moment of abuse. So exposure to pornography has the potential to have a long-term negative impact on children. Early exposure is connected with low self-esteem and body image disorders and a greater likelihood of kids engaging in risky sexual behavior. It often serves as inaccurate sex education for youth. It objectifies individuals, creating users and victims. It normalizes violence by presenting rape and abuse as harmless. And unfortunately, pornography exposure is becoming more and more common, with many stating the average age of first exposure is between 8 and 11 years old. Pornography also contributes to sex trafficking. It can harm brain development, causing psychological and physical distress. Because it's addictive, it can lead to criminal sexual behavior. It can lead to difficulty in forming or maintaining relationships. And it has a detrimental effect on the family unit. Because of all these things and more, 15 states in the United States have passed legislation recognizing that pornography is creating a public health hazard, including Montana, as we talked about earlier. Because children's brains are designed to model what they see, some who are exposed to pornography attempt to act out the scenes with other children. So the National Center on Sexual Exploitation says, the crime of child sexual abuse is sadly a familiar one to the American public. However, one category of child sexual abuse has largely escaped the public's attention: child-on-child harmful sexual behavior. Truly, any child who sees or acts out pornography is a victim of sexual abuse. How do we possibly begin to protect our kids from the hugeness of these problems? We are not protecting them from dangers in our neighborhood anymore. We are protecting them from the entire world. And this might feel completely overwhelming. How can we possibly tackle these problems and give our kids a fighting chance? At End Exploitation Montana, we believe there is so much we can do. We are not doomed. We don't need to pack up, move off the grid, and remove all technology from our lives. We can help our kids take the bull by the horn. We can help them master their use of technology, making it work for them and not the other way around. As school counselors, you are in the business of helping children become thriving adults, and we are here to support you in that. None of us replace parents, but we can support them in something that is much too big to manage without community support. And this is particularly important because much of the screen time children engage in is through school. So the programs we're here to talk about today are not filled with information that can be taught from a textbook. Students will not be given detailed instructions on how to navigate technology safely with a step-by-step list of what to do. Rather, they will be taught simple principles they can apply in any situation that will help them be the best digital citizens they can be. These programs empower children by helping them install an internal filter. Now here's Chelsea to tell you about the elementary program, White Ribbon Week.
So White Ribbon Week is a positive school program. It helps students make healthy choices in media and technology. And every day they learn a principle of safe online behavior through classroom discussions and also through fun activities. The really cool thing is this program is endorsed by national experts, administrators, and teachers. It is approved in Montana by the Office of Public Instruction. It contains a step-by-step guide so that any adult can organize a successful White Ribbon Week in their school. We are going to watch a short video to hear about what teachers and other adult leaders think about implementing White Ribbon Week in their schools.
The whole purpose of White Ribbon Week is to empower children to stay safe online.
White Ribbon Week really gives kids permission and tells them they do have the power to choose what's best for themselves and their family.
My favorite power boost was to tell a trusted adult when you feel uncomfortable. That is so important, so empowering for our kids.
All of our kids were super excited to learn the power boost and then to share what they have learned and to go home and share it with their parents and come back and let us know what they talked about. It's just a really great program where the kids really take ownership in their learning and their responsibilities online.
And know that there's somebody at the school who has all of those resources just ready to hand you. That was huge.
And if we can empower kids to speak up whenever they're feeling uncomfortable and help them find balance, then we're doing our job as moms, dads, parents, staff.
I love hearing from people who are experienced in facilitating or participating in the program. I want to share with you a quote from Jill Manning, PhD and mental health practitioner and researcher. If all children across the country could be exposed to this innovative program, we would have a fighting chance of curbing cyberbullying and internet addictions and promoting positive digital citizenship. Isn't that inspiring? Simply by implementing these programs, we can have a fighting chance. Donna Rice Hughes said, White Ribbon Week empowers children to take an active and thoughtful role in their online choices. These high quality and engaging materials are worthy of inclusion in every school's repertoire for combating internet pornography, online predation, cyberbullying, and other risks the internet era has brought forth into our homes and schools. Now I want to show you a quick glance at the week. Each day you have three things: a morning announcement, a classroom discussion, and a lunchtime activity. These can all be adapted to your students and to your individual school. So I'm going to show you some of the messages of the day. For Monday, the power boost is what it is called, is I have the power to not view embarrassing pictures or share hurtful words. And the classroom discussion for the day is on empathy. On Tuesday, I would like to go into some detail. I will just walk you through the day. So let's look at Tuesday morning. In the morning, over the intercom or in each individual class, you would announce the power boost of the day. So Tuesdays is, I have the power to turn it off. I personally especially love this day as it teaches kids to know when to turn off a device. This might be due to too much screen time or even seeing some inappropriate content. The announcement is then followed with a classroom discussion, and this is led by the teachers. The discussion comes in a guide that is given to each individual teacher. It has a short story that relates to the power boost, as well as some follow-up questions for the kids. The teachers are able to do as little or as much as they would like. It can take 1 minute or 10 minutes. It is totally up to them. The third aspect of the day is a lunchtime activity. And I really want to stress that this can be adapted to whatever works for your school. In the past, many schools have just done it as simply as giving a piece of candy for a child reciting the power boost. Or you are welcome to do an entire activity at lunch to get the children involved. Like in this photo, we dressed up as superheroes and went into the classroom to inspire the kids to make good choices. If you look here, Wednesday's power boost is I have the power to tell a trusted adult if anything doesn't feel right. And the classroom discussion is telling makes things better. Thursdays is I have the power to ask before I download. And the classroom discussion is not everything is how it appears. And Friday, which is also one of my favorites, is I have the power to help my friends make safe choices online. The classroom discussion is what I do influences others. Something really innovative, about these media safety programs is the parent portion, which is such an integral part of these programs. As we heard from Brittany earlier, parents and guardians are the primary influence for children in this digital age. These that you're looking at now are take-home challenges that go home each night and facilitate some great conversations between children and their parents. Right here, you can see the power boost of the day. So Tuesdays, I have the power to turn it off. Here you see the challenge. You are in control of what you see and hear. Memorize the 3 T's of tic-tac-toe. Turn it off, talk to a trusted adult, and turn to something active. I love this. Every time we play tic-tac-toe in our home, this is what we talk about. It's a really easy talking point to get kids chatting with you. Then you have the opportunity to actually play tic-tac-toe with someone in your family. At the bottom, we have the parent or guardian sign the slip and write the child's name. This is then returned to the school for a prize drawing. Prizes can be as simple as a piece of candy, or you can do larger prizes by drawing perhaps a winner from each grade in the school. It's totally up to you and completely customizable in that way. We also provide a media safety video for parents. In this video, you are educated on important subjects like screen time, cyberbullying, and other types of issues that we come across when using media. It is such a great asset for parents to have access to. Another part of the parent program are 2 simple papers that go home with the students. The first is a healthy media pledge. Families are able to go over some guidelines, set their own guidelines, and have each member of the family sign the bottom as they pledge to be smart media users. This second page is just for adults. It helps them to reflect upon hard things that might come up when they're speaking with their children. Overall, it is a great, quick reference for parents to have. I figured while we were here, I would go over a few frequently asked questions. And don't forget that you can also type your questions in the chat box or send us an email anytime. What makes White Ribbon Week unique? White Ribbon Week is so positive and fun. That to me is one of the most unique things about it. The teachers love it, the facilitators love it, and most importantly, the kids love to participate. Although the program is extremely clear about online dangers, it focuses on teaching skills for making safe and positive choices. It teaches them to use technology for good. White Ribbon Week is pro-technology. Children have this power to recognize the difference between positive and negative media. White Ribbon Week puts the filter in the child, and children who are media literate can use technology to build and lift and strengthen others and to communicate positive messages to those around them. How much does White Ribbon Week cost? White Ribbon Week is flexible enough to accommodate any size of budget. The actual program is $75. And however, there are supplemental materials that can be purchased on the website, but the base program is $75. And simply put, a school can spend as little or as much as you desire. So lunchtime rewards can be a stamp on the hand or simply a fun activity using resources from your school or from your community. And schools can change the incentives to fit their budget and to fit the students' interests. Who comes to my school? No guest needs to come to your school. Using the step-by-step instructions in the facilitator guide, any volunteer, teacher, counselor, or media specialist can organize a successful White Ribbon Week. Don't hesitate to invite a parent or even a local expert to present at an assembly or teach a parent meeting. What information should I give parents if they find out their child has been exposed to inappropriate content online? As you know, it's normal for parents to respond with alarm or anger or even accusations. However, we always encourage parents to pause and take a deep breath. Overreacting can be very damaging to a relationship of trust. There are many excellent resources with materials specifically designed to guide parents through these discussions. You, as counselors, are one of those resources. We also have many resources on our website that can help you aid parents and teachers through these discussions. If you go to the White Ribbon Week website, you will see that there are 4 themes that you can choose from. Do you use one theme per year or do you use all 4? Each facilitator's guide gives you the information to sponsor one program, which is presented over 1 week each year. When programs are done consistently, students would receive all 4 themes over 4 years. However, the materials are made to adapt to educational needs. So if a school desires, they can present all 4 themes throughout 1 year, or you could use one theme each year. It is completely customizable to you. I chatted a little bit about this, but how do you get parents involved? One of the most important objectives of White Ribbon Week is to get families talking. Each White Ribbon Week facilitator guide includes a letter to parents and a suggested outline for a parent meeting. Encourage parents to attend the meeting by holding a discussion over a lunch, or you could also send information through email, through text messages, or through the school's website. There are so many ways to spread this information to parents. Now I will go ahead and let Brittany talk to you about Stand Week.
You will see that both White Ribbon Week and Stand Week have a lot in common, and we call them weeks, but you can actually make them as long as you want. If you want to make them a 5-week program or even a year-long program, you could absolutely do that. So what is Stand Week? Stand Week is a media safety program for youth ages 11 to 14. And of course, there's some wiggle room with the ages that it's appropriate for as well. It's a peer-to-peer program. That is the big difference between Stand Week and White Ribbon Week. Stand Week is run by student leaders under the direction of adult mentors. And it creates an atmosphere where youth feel empowered and are empowering each other to stand firm in making healthy choices with their media use. It also contains a parent education component and encourages an open dialogue on essential issues between students and their parents and guardians, just like White Ribbon Week does. So we like to say that the power of Stand Week lies in providing education for parents and guardians, for in facilitating communication between students and their parents and guardians, through influencing youth through constructive social proof or positive peer influence, through encouraging a positive unified school atmosphere regarding healthy technology use or school unity on media use, and of course, in individually empowering youth to make healthy media choices. Okay, Stand Week is not a school curriculum. It will not take time away from classroom learning unless a teacher chooses to expand on the principles of media safety contained in the Stand messages. Stand Week is also not a replacement of current media safety programs. It just supplements what a school already has in place. And if a school doesn't have anything in place, of course, it's a great place to start. So each day during Stand Week, student leaders make a morning announcement with a media safety message. Throughout the day, students are invited to participate in activities that will help reinforce the media safety message of the day, which we call a Stand message. And at the end of the school day, teachers will provide students with a Stand challenge to do at home with their parents and guardians. Incentives can be given to encourage students to communicate with their parents and guardians, and teachers also have the opportunity or the option to facilitate a discussion on the day's Stand message, as I mentioned before. So a simple step-by-step guide of the entire Stand Week program will be provided for student leaders to facilitate. So a student leader will receive a booklet that gives them a step-by-step guide of what to do, and of course they'll be making individual decisions for their schools based on their school's schedule and how things function at their school. The program is completely customizable for each individual school. Stand Week is a cost-effective program run by student leaders with operating costs that come out of the student council budget, if applicable. The cost for the program really varies depending on which aspects are implemented, and many of the suggested prizes can be donated by local sponsors. The base program costs $100 with Stand Week swag and supplements available for additional purchase. We never want the cost to be prohibitive to any school though, so if you feel that it is, just reach out to us at standweek.org/contact to learn about grant opportunities. Parental figures are the most important protective factor for their kids. Therefore, a significant portion of Stand Week includes educating parents, guardians, and encouraging communication between students and their parents and guardians. In advance of Stand Week, the parents and guardians are provided an educational media safety video to watch and learn from, just like in White Ribbon Week. Students have the opportunity to also accept a challenge to have conversations with their parents about the media safety topics every day. Parents are the most important protective factor for their kids. So part of the video includes a media safety to-do list that parents can print out or take a screenshot of, and it can give them ideas on how to implement the media safety ideas that the video gives them. So we have received great feedback from many parents on this video. Here are just a few of the things that they have said. This is such crucial information for the times we live in. This video was well done and useful. High praise to the public schools for bringing awareness to all of the issues mentioned in the video. We are endangering the sanity of our younger generations with the flood of options and temptations available through technology, not to mention stripping away their innocence. We must raise awareness and encourage parents and provide healthy and strong boundaries. That was Lana, mother of 3. And an anonymous parent said, "This was a great educational video for parents. I appreciate what the school is trying to do by educating the parents on the dangers on electronic and social media. I learned a few things I was unaware of." And I think a lot of parents feel that way. A lot of them know that there are risks, but they don't necessarily know how to go about protecting their kids from those risks. Okay, as part of Stand Week, Students will be invited to participate in a survey with questions related to the stand messages of the day. And the questions will be answered anonymously and will help students reflect on where they stand on their media use. The answers to this survey will also help parents, guardians, and educators understand relevant issues related to media safety. The questions are all true or false and include things like, my family has rules for screen time. I feel my mood change after spending time on a screen. I have felt lonely in a group of people who were all looking at screens. I have a social media account my parents don't know about. I have friends online I don't know in person, etc. So they're really great questions that each match the topics of the day for Stand Week. Okay, so here is a daily breakdown. To start the day, students are introduced to the stand message, they are really at the heart of Stand Week. Teachers have an opportunity to discuss those in more detail or not. Students are also invited to participate in a stand brain teaser, which is kind of a fun way to implement the message or to go a little bit deeper into it. They also have the opportunity to sign the pledge that they are willing to apply the stand message in their life. And then also, of course, the stand challenge, which they are invited to take home and communicate with their parents about what they're learning. So the stand messages, they are at the heart of the week. So the first stand message is, I will stand up, look up, and be present, prioritizing real relationships over screens. And each message, including this one, they highlight different elements of media safety, including screen time, social media, peer pressure, cyberbullying, suicide, objectifying content, human trafficking, and more. The second message on Tuesday is, I will stand out by being true to myself in person and online. The third one, I will stand for positive media, valuing the dignity of myself and others. I will stand with those who are alone, excluded, or vulnerable. And then finally, I will stand now and choose to be a leader of positive technology. So the stand brain teasers, again, help reinforce those stand messages of the day while creating a fun, positive atmosphere regarding healthy technology use. So the first one is a cryptogram. I'll give you a hint. The answer in those spaces is technology. And it's a quote from Napoleon Dynamite, if you've seen that movie. I love technology, but not as much as you see, but I still love technology always and forever. The second brain teaser on Tuesday is a word search. Just find 5 words to describe you: capable, powerful, talented, awesome, and unique. On day 3, the brain teaser is a crossword puzzle where it uses a couple of the words that were introduced in the morning announcements that the students leaders give to announce the stand message of the day. In here, the words that we're hoping that they come up with are objectify and dignity. On day 4, the brain teaser is kind of like a Where's Waldo? Find the kids who need a friend. So in here, there are 2 kids that are alone and looking kind of sad, and everyone else around them is playing and having fun. So it just helps the kids to look around and see who might be left out or who might be alone in some way. And on day 5, it's a magic eye. These are really fun for some and really frustrating for others. I personally love them. I think it's really fun to see what kind of thing is hiding in that, very busy looking picture. And in this one, the question is, find the hidden message, and the hint, it's the key to awesome technology. And I won't give it away, but there is something hidden in there if you wanted to pause the video and look at it. Every day, also, students will have the opportunity to sign their commitment to each of the stand messages on what is called a stand pledge. And these will hang in the school as a reminder of their resolve. So if they do really want to commit to standing up, looking up, and being present, prioritizing real relationships over screens, they can sign that. And there are great opportunities to incentivize kids who sign this. Maybe at the end of the day, just randomly, close your eyes and put your finger on a signature and then announce that student as a winner of a prize of some sort. All right, the stand events that happen at school do have the power to influence students using constructive social proof and encourage a positive unified atmosphere regarding healthy technology. But the power of what Stand Week promotes at home cannot be overstated. So in addition to giving parents and guardians access to media safety video, we give them the stand challenges, and these encourage communication. So let's just look at what they look like. At the top of the page, it kind of gives a little bit of instruction about what to do. Then it says the stand message of the day, and then it gives talking points. Here are 3 questions that parents can ask their youth, or the youth can ask their parents, and to help identify where they're at. Where are their screen time rules, and how does screen time affect moods, and what do you do if you feel emotionally disconnected from people? And then the next part is a writing challenge, where we ask students to take a little bit of ownership over the discussion and what they're going to do with the stand challenge. And then, of course, we want parents to sign to show that they have had this conversation. And just like in White Ribbon Week, there can be incentives given if students return the stand challenges. We hope this gives you a good idea of the power that Stand Week has to help kids who are growing up with so much technology. Ultimately, we believe that they have the power to stand up, stand out, stand for, stand with, and stand now in using technology in a positive way.
Stand Week is a media safety program for 11 to 14-year-olds. Each day of the week, a new concept is introduced, including relationships, cyberbullying, screen time, objectifying content, and leadership.
Stand Week empowers us to make healthy media choices by encouraging individual growth and positive personal choices with our media use.
The program is run by student leaders like me. We make daily announcements, facilitate activities throughout the week, and I ask my classmates to help out too.
Stand Week facilitates important discussions with adults through an educational video and take-home talking points.
I will stand up, look up, and be present, prioritizing real relationships over stress.
I will stand out by being true to myself in person and online.
I will stand with those who are alone, excluded, or vulnerable.
I will stand for positive media, valuing the dignity of myself and others.
I will stand now and be a leader of positive technology.
Stand up,
Stand out.
Stand for,
Stand with.
Stand now.
Stand up, stand out, stand for, stand with, stand down.
Thank you so much for being here. We at End Exploitation Montana want to reach every child in Montana with media safety programs to educate and empower children and their families. You are an intricate part of this puzzle. We know that as we work together to provide Montana families with these resources, we will see a generation of children who stand up for themselves and for others, who make their own educated choices on their media exposure, and who can lead others to make positive changes in our communities. If you need more information, please go to endexploitationmontana.org, standweek.org, or whiteribbonweek.org. Through those websites, you can contact us, email us, and get more information. And don't forget that you can also leave any questions that you have in the chat box. Thank you so much for your time today. It has been wonderful.
One last thing, because we are so anxious to help all the youth in Montana develop their internal filter, we are offering 50% off of Stand Week for the conference attendees. You can use the code MSCA STAND. Thank you so much for being here.